The 17th of February is not another date on the calendar. It's a complete structural reset point. It is a convergence that we haven't witnessed in centuries. A new moon, solar eclipse, Chinese New Year, and all of this happening at a heavy stellium where Rahu is there in Aquarius, and on the borders we have Mars and Saturn. So before we get started, quickly for 2 minutes, I want you to close your eyes and imagine this. Imagine a bird in a cage, well fed, very well taken care of. She got really comfortable here. And one fine day, the gate of the cage was opened, but she did not fly. And they waited for her to fly, and she wasn't flying. And this waiting period is what was marked by the beginning of this year. And suddenly, the cage is surrounded by fire. And the minute that fire is felt by this bird, it's when something instinctive, something ancient arises within her, and she learns that she has wings, and she learns about the gift that she can fly. And that is when she feels pushed to jump out of the cage, which initially does not feel the most comfortable to her. But what happens next is the freedom she gets. And this is a theme of the solar eclipse. So hi, my name is Radhia and welcome to Holsoltre. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through why this rare convergence signals acceleration, purification, a complete structural reset, and how you can navigate through this very consciously and make the most of this fire horse Chinese New Year. At the same time, this massive solar eclipse that's aligning you with the cosmic rhythm and the cosmic dance and the shifts that we are undergoing. Alright, so I've broken down this video for you into 3 parts. Okay, part 1, I'll be discussing the astrological significance. That'll give you a lot of insight and understanding about what this eclipse is. In part 2, I'll be discussing about the Chinese fire horse element. And the third, we're going to be discussing about what you can do during this time and how you can make the most of it, to-dos and not to-dos. So let's begin with part 1. Okay, I want you to visually imagine that on one side there is discipline action, on the other side there's accountability, and right in between this reset is happening. Now why I say that, majority of the planets, okay, are gathering in Aquarius, and there's a separate video I've made for that, and you can find the link in the description. Sun and Moon are in close conjunction with each other. Now with this close conjunction, we have Rahu. Rahu that way is like a karmic axis, something you cannot avoid, and is your north node. Okay, things that make you uncomfortable and yet you have to face. Alongside Sun, Moon and Rahu, we have Venus and Mercury sitting, and so we have like 5 planets in the sign of Aquarius. On the left hand side we have Capricorn, on the right hand side we have Pisces, which is the next side. In Capricorn we have Mars, and in Pisces we have Saturn. On the left hand side there is a planet, right hand side there is a planet, and what is aspecting, which is my most favorite part, which is why despite of all this disruption, we know that where we are headed is towards liberation and higher growth, and that is where Jupiter is sitting. Okay, so understanding the eclipse first, what is happening is when I talk about Sun and Moon, right? They are that feminine and masculine energy, the core energies that guide us. Imagine Sun normally, which is seen as your identity, okay, how you interact with people, and Moon is the shadow. So when Sun's light is dimmed, what happens is that ego identity, what you're engaging with, is temporarily going through a shadow period. So this normal new moons, force you to go within. Now currently with Rahu sitting this eclipse, why it becomes like an acceleration point, because on the left and right we also have Mars, Saturn. But understand this one thing, in which sign are all these planets gathering and the stellium occurring? It's Aquarius. And in which sign is Mars sitting? It's Capricorn. And which planet is bordering this is Saturn. Now the ruler of Capricorn as well as Aquarius in Vedic astrology is considered Saturn. So there is so much of a heavy Saturnian vibe, and because of this Saturnian theme, the chakra that gets activated is your Mooladhara chakra, which is your root chakra, which signifies your survival, your security, your foundation, so all of this massively is going through a shift, whether at a social collective level, it is the foundation in terms of government, in terms of institution, or at a personal level in terms of your own survival security patterns. And that is the crux before we dive in deeper. Okay, now when all of this is happening, what is aspecting, as in what is watching over, is Jupiter. Jupiter is called the Guru. The Guru, teacher, or Gu or Ru means the remover of darkness. So, when Jupiter is watching, no matter the intensity of this, with Jupiter watching it, it's like it will push you towards a higher dharma, a higher ethical path. And that's the beauty that this solar eclipse is bringing to us. Now, it's happening in the sign of Aquarius, okay? Now, Aquarius traditionally rules the 11th house. There, this sign is also seen as the 11 Rudras, or the 11 forces of transformation. And that is why you will also see that whenever the new moon is occurring in the sign of Aquarius, just before that we have the Mahashivratri. And Shiva is also called Rudra. Shiva, as Adi Yogi, the ultimate yogi, is seen to help you dissolve the ego identity, or dissolve identities that you had been holding on to and got comfortable to. But this eclipse is giving you the chance to, go back and look within. Now, the Aquarius Rudra 11th house, it's also the house of collective, it's also the house of freedom, it's also the house of gains, wealth. And here's the interesting thing, that although we will see these shifts happening at a collective level, and that is why you will just follow through as part of the collective, the interesting thing is that Sun, Moon both are having this in the nakshatra of Dhanishta. Talking about Dhanishta, normally nakshatras have one or two deities. Dhanishta is ruled by the 8 Ashtavasus, which is 8 elements. There is like fire, water, space, light, multiple, and there are 8 elements. So imagine with Dhanishta's 8 elements and Aquarius's 11 forces of transformation, this becomes extremely massive. Now, if I speak to you about, Rudra and Dhanishta, the symbol of Dhanishta is a drum. Drum is nothing but rhythm. Drum creates sound, but it is not a normal sound. It is a cosmic sound. And here's the interesting thing I want to share, that the cosmic sound, when we speak of, in the Vedic tradition, Shiva's Damaru, the Shiva's instrument of sound, was considered to have created the nada, which is primordial sound, from which the whole language of Sanskrit came about. So it looks like an hourglass. If you Google DAMRU, Damru, it looks an hourglass, and it also shows us polarity of yin yang and polarity of the lingam and the yoni, okay, which is the feminine and the male energy coming together and creating the cosmic sound or the cosmic rhythm. Now, why I'm sharing this with you is to help you understand that this drums, imagine whenever drums come about, what do drums actually create? They create sound. What does sound do? That rhythm that's created, it creates movement, and that movement creates momentum. And this is what I'll also talk about in the fire horse, that why momentum becomes such a key word during this time. There are so many interesting things happening during this eclipse. Where I spoke about the sun moon energies, they reside in our third eye, okay, the Agya chakra, and where the Saturnian heaviness of Mooladhara chakra, what are we seeing? What are we witnessing? The perception and the root, which is foundation, they are coming together. So when your perception and your root gets accelerated together, what happens? You're able to see clearly what foundations in your life are not working, what needs rebuilding, what needs restructuring, what needs burning away. And the beautiful thing is, while this reset is happening, again, I'll repeat, we have Jupiter, which is the most positive planet in the all of astrology. It is watching. So when that is watching, it's like, despite of how uncomfortable or shaky this feels, you know the outcome is going to lead you to your higher purpose and your destiny. Now, on a personal level, how this eclipse in Dhanishta can play out for you, it can be a complete career redirection. It can be a change in your social identity, realizing your role in the society, decisions getting accelerated, even decisions to step forward publicly. All of these changes you can witness during this time. And again, I will say, allow, simply allow. So, at this point, if something feels like it's accelerating in your life, it totally makes sense. If it feels like something is super unstable in your life, even that makes sense. And if you feel something is burning away in your life, that also makes absolute sense. Why I say this is because before we go on the fire horse energy, understand that the Dhanishta Nakshatra is ruled by Mars, and Mars is nothing but fire. And again, I repeat that Mars is in Capricorn, which is exalted. So the interesting part is, despite of so much fire energy, there is disciplined fire, that is strategic fire, because Mars in Capricorn is disciplined. Okay, it is not as impulsive, and that is why this is a prime opportunity for you to really shake up that foundation in your life, and you will feel parts of the residue, okay, parts of the residue of 2025, where you felt things were ending, things were going slow, baby steps. Now is the time when you will feel enough is enough. Be it in the direction of your career, be it in the direction of your business, be it in the direction of your relationship, be it in the direction of your personal growth. Okay, this is the moment that will put you on fire, now or never. So welcome to the moment when destiny presses the fast forward button. Okay, with this we enter the second part, which is all about the fire horse energy. And it's so interesting, when I was researching that how, although the Chinese astrology works on different parameters, but the messages that I got from the Chinese astrology as well as Vedic, they're so similar and they're also converging. And here's where I will quickly discuss that, fire horse, so one side they have 5 elements and on the other they have 12 animals, but 12 animals are also seen as branches, where each animal within that branch has an element. So horse is predominantly seen as fire. So imagine the element fire, and then the horse as fire, and then the eclipse occurring in Dhanishta Nakshatra, which is ruled by Mars, which is also fire. Now you can yourself imagine the intensity. And talking about this fire horse, the keywords that come to mind is visibility, because fire is visible. It is speed, it is momentum, it is action, it is leadership, ambition, but at the same time, it is also impatience, it is also impulsiveness, and we have to be very careful of how we use this energy. So, this fire horse happened last in 1966 and before that in 1906. So it comes once in every 60 years. Now, here's the interesting thing. While I was researching the Cultural Revolution in China and so many global movements where the youth came out, and there were also a lot of social movements that happened in 1966, and this year where a lot of these placements are occurring in Aquarius, if I go back to the Vedic astrology, again we see a social dynamic playing out. But at the same time, if I see it as a personal level, there is a lot of identity reshift, because Aquarius is also in Western astrology ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is all about freedom. So this information is also telling you that, it depends totally on you how you utilize fire. Because one thing with fire is needing to know when to act and when to take a step back. When to use that fire to create something and when to use that fire to destroy. And that is the thing about Rudra as well, that Shiva was known as the destroyer as well as the creator. So this year, if I talk about the third part of the do's and the don'ts, because of so much intensity that is happening, it is very natural that if you're not aligned with the cosmic rhythm, You might also feel a lot of confusion, which is natural during eclipses if our body is in imbalance, okay? So, and with so much of fire energy, one of the things you must do is a lot of movement. You know, during this time, if you're normally someone who feels anxious or you're burnt out, you know, meditation personally is not advisable. When it is advisable, after you've done a lot of movement. Actually think about a horse, okay? Close your eyes and imagine a horse, and imagine there's fire around. What naturally drives you? Imagine there is the sound of the damru, the sound of Rudra's drums, or even the djembe. What naturally drives you? And that's movement. Okay, movement of any kind. Dancing is such a great meditation to be done during this time, be it ecstatic dance, be it free flow dance, any form of dancing, any form of movement. Why I say this? Because with so much fire, please understand there is a high rise of pitta. High rise of pitta leads to anger, frustration, okay, because Mars is still in Capricorn. So focused discipline will help you rebuild structures, but if there is resistance, that can take form of anger and irritation and frustration. But because solar eclipse is all about reset, it's all about clearing what no longer serves you. Fire is all about purification. Anger can be one of your best emotions right now to get you to the other side of the bridge. This is not the time where you feel guilty or judge yourself for that anger. Experiencing rage, anger, and the Rudra's drums and tandav, you know, can really help you to transform during this time. And one of the things I also advise is you can do fire meditation. Okay, fire meditation can happen in different forms. So I'll just give you a couple of them. One is candle, just looking at the flame, because the minute you look at the flame, you're channeling that Mars energy where you're focused, okay, where you're observing that fire. The second can be the fire bowl, where whatever anger you have, you scribble it non-stop without judging yourself, and then you actually burn it in that fire. So any kind of burning ritual is excellent during this time, okay? So moving your body as much as you can. And there is also an Osho meditation that is done where, you know, you like move a lot, especially the lower part of your body. Your hip movement, belly dancing is exceptionally good during this time because the Mooladhara chakra is getting activated. And you know, with the third and the Mooladhara, it's a prominent time for a Kundalini awakening. It's very close to the new moon we had a month ago. Now, the second thing that you can do during this time, other than moving your body, is a lot of writing. Okay, because with so many planets like Mercury and Rahu being in conjunction, you will get a lot of ideas, because fire horse is also a lot about creation. A lot of creative ideas, a lot of momentum ideas. Just make sure to write all of them, because otherwise they will become a clutter up in your head. Okay. The third thing, avoid technology, as in avoid scrolling, because your eyes represent fire. And the more you heat it up, because there's already a lot of heat, the more you heat it up, it starts to impact your nervous system. Okay. Fourth, which may sound very generic, but drink as much water as possible, because you know there is intense fire, and to keep yourself cool, to keep yourself calm is super important. With that, we go to the fifth one, which is grounding. Grounding can be as simple as lying down on the floor. It can be as simple as touching the floor. It can be as simple as gardening. Okay, and the final one that I will move to, what you must do during the eclipse. Now I'll come to meditation, because Shiva represents that inner stillness, but only after the release of energy, only after the shake-up. Because one beautiful thing about this eclipse is that even though this is a reset point, but combined with the fire horse, it's also shaking up the foundations. So if you are having emotional outbursts, if you are having sudden releases, if you're feeling intense amounts of emotion, especially anger and frustration, please do not resist, because it is through that you will be able to get to the other side and sit in stillness and observe. So simply observing your breath and sitting in stillness is what is truly going to help you during the solar eclipse. Make the most of it, and remember, what you resist persists, and what you face clears and helps you grow. And you can claim this energy by commenting, I am ready to accelerate. Now, to understand how this eclipse and in what area is this eclipse impacting you, you can see your natal chart. Check where in your natal chart is the number 11, Aquarius mentioned, and that will give you an insight into where this shift is going to be felt in your life most prominently. So happy solar eclipse, happy Mahashivratri. I'll see you soon. Om Namah Shivaya.